All right, welcome everybody to Learn With Lowell show. I'm your host, Lowell. As longtime listeners know, we talk to experts and discover experts and leaders and scientists and artists from around the world. Today, I believe we're joined with someone from the East Coast, based on many circumstantial, some evidence there. I imagine you're on the East Coast. We're joined today with Bob Walters, and it's cool to use your name, right? It's in your podcast, but I just want to double check.
Yeah, use my name. Go for it.
Okay. Bob Walters, 7-year veteran of New York City Correction Officer of Rikers Island. I believe is the largest prison in the United States. Might be the world, given like how many people are incarcerated.
It's the largest jail.
States. Just jail. What's the difference between jail and prison?
A jail is detainees. So if you get arrested, like if you get a DWI in your town or something simple, and you go to jail, you go to jail. Now, jail is for people serving up to a year or less, or awaiting trial. A prison is people who have already been convicted.
How many people are in Rikers?
Right now, I believe it's somewhere around like 2,800.
Okay.
But it's been upwards of like 7,000.
Yeah. And then Bob is also, in his free time, he has a New York-focused sports talk podcast called Locked Up, and it'll be in the show notes for people to check out. Welcome to the show today, Bob.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
We were working on some microphone issues before, so Bob's been really kind today.
Yeah, and I'm not one of the scientists you have on here, so I can't really figure it all out for you.
Yeah, no, it's all right. I like people of all walks of life, but yeah, I've been told that there's been a little too many scientists on the show, so I'm glad that you can come on and talk about your
scientists.
Life.
Well, yeah, you don't got to worry about that with me. Science was not a strong point for me.
Yeah. So you're a correction officer. What does your day entail? Like, what do you actually do? What does that mean?
A correction officer, what we do in the simplest form is care, custody, and control. So that's what we're care, custody, and control. So like I said, I work at Rikers Island. We work in a jail, which means we have detainees, people awaiting trial, and we have people who are sentenced to a year or less. If you're sentenced to a year and a day or more, then you go upstate to prison. New York has a bunch of prisons upstate. You know, you've heard of some of them, Attica, stuff like that. But where I am, it's the local. Basically, what Rikers Island is it's the local jail. It just happens to be the local jail for the biggest city in the world. So now my day would be I show up to work. Right now I work 9 o'clock at night until 5:30 in the morning. That's a pretty easy shift because they lock in at 9 o'clock. They lock out at 5 o'clock. Mm-hmm. But what I do now is that you come in, you get your post where you're going to go. You go to post, you relieve your officer, you take your count of the inmates, live breathing bodies. That's the most important thing. The live breathing bodies, that's your money. So I take a count and I'm on the floor with them. It's me and 30 to 50 inmates. And like we're kind of hanging out with them. I make sure that they don't fight. That's the care, because I can't have them get hurt. They're constantly trying to pull things over on you. Get this, get that. I gotta go here. You learn real quick not to believe anything they say. I work with the young adults. So right now I work with inmates who are 18 to 21 years old. And you basically just make sure everything doesn't go to hell is basically what you're doing. And you make sure they eat, make sure they're alive, like care, custody, and control. You just make sure you keep them in custody. You make sure no one gets hurt or dies. And you just kind of make sure the order's, in there. They're all gang members. Rikers Island is, the Rikers Island jail is falling apart. Mm-hmm. When it rains outside, it rains inside. Just until recently, the cells didn't even lock, really. They were all broken.
How are you?
It's falling apart. They need a new jail is what they need.
How are you able to do your job if the very doors themselves don't lock? I thought, in my mind, they're supposed to be locked in a little cell at night or something.
Yeah, theoretically, you're supposed to be locked in the cell. Now, there are also dorms, and dorms are like the lower classification. They're not as violent. That's just a big room with a bunch of beds. But I work in the cell areas. The cells, what it was, they're so old. The place is falling apart. They used to be able to just pull them open. Mm-hmm. And now and these guys, they all have weapons. They'll make weapons out of like they'll break the glass in their cell or they'll break glass somewhere. They all have weapons. They're all gang members. And, you know, as you can see, I'm not a big guy. So like I use my pepper spray. Okay. Pepper spray is my best friend in there because it works like a charm. I tell all girls, you should carry pepper spray. If they start fighting, they'll come after me. You know, I've been assaulted bad. I've had my nose broken. They'll come after me a lot. You know, they'll say things to you and you just gotta, I fake it. I fake being tough. I'm not tough. And they'll ask me all the time, they're like, oh, why don't you fight me? Why don't you fight me? And I'll be like, because I'm going to lose. If I fight you, I'm going to lose. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I'm going to be able to beat you up or anything like that. And that's not my job anyway. I don't come to work to fight. You know, I come to work to make a paycheck. And the reason I really took the job was because I could retire. I get a good pension after 20 years and I can retire and stop working. Yeah. But, you know, you make sure they get their services. Make sure they get rec, make sure they get, you know, their medication, whatever services they have coming into the housing area. They all have tablets now. So they, you know, and it's just, it's really a chaotic place, to be honest with you. It's a chaotic place. Most people don't know what we do. Most people, when I say correction officer, they think I'm like walking the tier with a rifle or in the thing, you know, in the tower above the yard. You know, it's not like it is on the movies. It's really a hectic place. They all have weapons. It's dangerous. These are highly dangerous people. Most of them are detainees awaiting murder and, you know, everything like that. You know, we get anybody famous comes in there. Anybody gets arrested in New York City comes right into us. Now, there's like 6 different jails on Rikers Island. A lot of people think it's the same jail. It's one big jail. There's really 6 different jails. There's a woman's facility. There's like 5 other facilities. They're slowly closing them down, but they need to rebuild them because they're falling apart. When it rains outside, it rains inside. I tell people, have you ever seen the show Locked Up Abroad?
No.
Okay, it's like it's on like A&E or something. I guarantee you a bunch of your listeners have seen it. It's usually like a girl goes on like spring break. She gets into some kind of trouble. She spends all her money. Someone convinces her, oh, I'll pay you a lot of money. You just put a bunch of cocaine in your stomach and fly it here and you'll get $100,000. But then she gets arrested in like some third world country and she goes to prison. And I said, Rikers Island is worse than that. It's worse. It's really a bad, you know, it's a rough place.
Yeah. Why are they closing it? Like, why are they down?
To be honest with you, I always tell people, I'll believe it when I see it that they're going to close it. They've been closing it since our parents were our age, closing it. They want to close it for, nobody really knows the expansion of LaGuardia, maybe. People want to say LaGuardia Airport. Some people say the city wants to build high-rise apartments on there. You know, there's all types of theories. What I think they're going to do is they're going to knock it down one by one and just rebuild new jails because it's the perfect spot. Nobody's escaping from there. So, but, you know, are they going to close it? I don't know. Like I say, I'll believe it when I see it. They've been talking about closing it. Our last mayor, de Blasio, he was talking about closing it. He got voted. He's not the mayor anymore. The new mayor says he wants to close it. I'll believe it when I see it.
Yeah. But then if they're not, I mean, if they're taking their time and dragging their feet with the closing of it, and yet inmates still have tablets and stuff. So why are, you know, like, why did it take, like, in your opinion, like, what was taking so long for them to just like have the basic things like locking a door? Because if you're there at night, I don't know how many people are around you. I imagine you're not really with a group of people. Why doesn't, you know, like someone have like a bad day and just like jump you? You know, like, why wouldn't like 3 or 4 people just like get you when
they
no
do
one's around?
sometimes? Now one, because you know, now you work with them. Like you work out of a steady house where I'm there every day. So they know me, you know, you almost develop, you're never friends with an inmate. Never. They're never your friend, but you do develop a working relationship. I'm there every day with these guys. They know me. I'll walk into a house in the beginning, and then they don't know me. And they'll be like, oh, you're racist, this and that. And I'll be like, listen, I'm the least racist person you'll ever meet. They just see me and, they say this and that. But once they get to know me, they'll be like, okay, he's funny, this and that. I'm fair. I try to be fair with these guys. Listen, you got to lock in. There's certain things I got to do. They'll be in the cell, like 4 of them in a cell smoking. I can't have 4 of you in the cell. You know, if you want to smoke, go somewhere, go around in the day room or something where I can't see you, but you can't be in the cell. Because what happens is they just start cutting each other in the cell, and then I'm suspended because that goes back to the care, custody, and control. You know, it's they don't listen. It's not like they listen to you. They're in there because they don't listen, and they're kids like me, you, everybody else. We were all jerks when we were 18, 19 years old. We just were, because like most 18, 19, 17-year-olds, they're all jerks. These guys are jerks, but they're gang members. They're blood gang members. There's a whole bunch of gangs. They're constantly warring with each other. They're constantly passing drugs around. You know, now the tablets, the way they have the tablets, it's a good thing that they have the tablets. It gives them something to do. Because a lot of the stuff that they do, it's because they're bored in there. These guys are facing, like, they're 18 years old. They're facing 20, 25 years. And they also, you know, they don't have a good grasp of the justice system. A lot of them don't understand, like, what bailing out means. Like, I explained to them, I'm like, if you bail out, you're going to get your money back when you come to court. Bail is just a collateral to say you're going to come to court. Like, they think, oh, bailing out, I'm going home. And they go home. But you're just awaiting trial in here. The bail is just you're awaiting trial outside. That's why I said it's very good that we're all entitled to a lawyer. Because a lot of these kids don't understand. They don't understand the system. And they get wrapped up in the system and they do stupid stuff. They all have guns. They all have a shooting charge or a gun charge. But the tablets keep them busy. You throw some movies on there. They have the internet, but it's not like the internet where they can go wherever. It's restricted internet. They're starting to do phone calls with the tablets, which prevents a lot of problems with the phones. Because what they have is they'll have slot time. They call it slot time. The guy who runs the house is going to get 8:30 because the phones go off at 9 o'clock. So the guy who runs the house and his gang is going to get 8:30 to 9 on that phone. Don't touch that phone. That's the blood phone. Don't touch this phone. That's the Crip phone. So it kind of, you know, if they all have their own phone, it prevents fights and stuff.
It sounds like the gangs should either pool money or the gangs themselves, like individual, like the Bloods, or I don't know all gangs anymore, but they should have like a lawyer and retainer to just educate their lower ranked members, because they're losing a lot of people who could be making the money.
Well, they actually make good money in jail.
Oh, really?
Now, what they make money in jail, first of all, by selling drugs and stuff. Cigarettes, for example. One cigarette in jail costs $100. Not from us, from them, from the illegal. Like, we don't know, there's no cigarettes allowed in jail. One cigarette, though, in jail costs $100. So when they're in jail, they're making more money. And then a lot of people say, well, how do they do the money stuff? So here's how they do it. Cash App is the official currency of jail. So, like, someone in the house next door will sell drugs to someone in this house. I'll call, let's say I'm buying drugs, right? I'll call my girlfriend and say, hey, send $100 Cash App to this person, to his girlfriend. Then he calls his girlfriend. Did you get it? Okay, bam. And then they do the drug deal. So Cash App is the official currency of jail. But, you know, it's just the tablets keep them busy. What was the question? I'm sorry.
I was originally saying they should the premise that you jumped off of was the idea that they're making more money in prison than outside, and then you were educating me on the fact that
yes,
Cash App is like a nexus for that.
Yes, so with the money, they make good money selling drugs. Now they're going to get in trouble. That's part of that job. If the job that you choose is crime, and to be in the gang, you're going to go to jail at some point. You're going to get caught doing something, you know. And so they do go to jail, but a lot of them again, it's all gangs. And like there'll be a house, like someone will walk in. And they'll walk up to him as soon as he comes in the house, and they'll be like, you know, are you banging? Are you banging? They'll ask him a couple of questions. If they don't like the answers to the questions, they'll come over to me and they'll be like, yo, he's got to go. He can't be in here. He's no good here. And that's me being like, okay, let's get him out of here. Let's get him somewhere else. Well, like we'll hold him outside and we'll go, look who's in this house. Take a look around. Are you good here? Because we don't want a disaster. We don't want a disaster if you walk in tomorrow. And then a lot of them, you know, they'll drop their flag. So I'm not in the gang anymore. Now the gang's going to get them. You're not in our gang anymore, or you switch to another gang. It's really stupid, to be honest with you. It's really just clubs that it makes no sense, the gangs. They basically use it as protection, but it makes no sense. There's a hierarchy. You walk in, you spend 2 days in the house, and they'll come up to me and they'll say, hey, listen, this guy's no good. Hey, Walters, listen, this guy's no good here. They have respect like that, or they'll wait until my tour's over to have a fight because they'll know that, hey, listen, we didn't violate your tour. Like I'll come in the next day and they'll be like, oh, they're locked in because they had a fight or they cut somebody. And I'll be like, what happened? We were all good when I left yesterday. And they'll be like, oh, we didn't violate your tour. We waited till you left because I'm their steady officer.
That's interesting.
Developing somewhat of a relationship with them. But it's basically chaotic. As far as the money goes, they also sue the city for any and everything. They'll make up lies, and what happens is it's kind of like the Donald Trump theory, the way they do it. The city doesn't want to fight the case. So they'll say that they tripped and fell. Now there's cameras, but they'll say that they got hurt or that I didn't feed them or they haven't gotten their visits or they haven't gotten rec. And that's because they have minimum standards. And what they'll do is they'll sue the city and the city will say, okay, they're suing us for this amount. It's going to cost us $80,000 to fight the case and win it. Or we could offer you $25,000 and they take the $25,000. So they make money that way off the city too.
That's interesting.
It's really New York City, it is what it is, but they make money like that. They say, a lot of them have said to me, if you have less money when you leave jail than when you came to jail, you're an idiot.
Is it possible for people, have you heard of anyone who has made so much money that they just retire? Or do the gang ties kind of keep them
No, I
down?
mean, you're not making that much. I mean, think about it. These guys, a lot of them are kids. They're not smart with their money. They don't really, they'll tell me all the time, like, oh, I got more money than you. I got more money than you. And I'm like, no, you don't. I got like 10 stacks. And I'm like, well, where do you keep your money? And they're like, because I know they don't have banks. So they're like, they keep it in a safe or something. They think like $10,000 is a lot of money. And here's a good example from that. They'll ask me, they'll try and get the officers to bring in drugs. Okay, so they'll say to me, hey, let's make some money together. When you bring in some cigarettes, I'll give you a carton of cigarettes. I'll give you $5,000. And I'm like, $5,000? Yeah, bro, $5,000, 5 stacks, 5. What am I going to do with $5,000? I'm not throwing away this job and this pension and all this other stuff for $5,000. They're like, no, you can bring it in. We won't tell. I'm like, first of all, you will tell, because here's how they get caught. Let's say I'm bringing something in for you. The DA comes to you. You're in on a robbery charge. The DA says to you, okay, hey, we're going to offer you 7 to 10 on the robbery charge. You look around, you go, okay, how about we make it 4 to 6? And you get Walters at the door next week. He'll be bringing in 2 cartons of cigarettes. So, I mean, one, I wouldn't do it anyway, but they have no concept of money. I tell them all the time, like, what are you going to do with the money? Let's say you make a whole bunch of money selling drugs. You're a highly successful drug dealer. Couple $1 million. You buy a house. You can't buy a house. You're like, why can't I buy a house? Well, because you're going to buy the house, and the next day the IRS is going to come knocking on your door, and they're going to say, it says right here, sir, that you have you made $0 in the last 8 years. Yet you got this beautiful house that you just bought. Where'd you get the money? Where's our cut? I was like, you can't buy that. You can't buy a house. You can buy a car. They're all about cars. I said, I can go get a Porsche today after work. Today after work, I could go get a Porsche. I'll look rich driving down the street. I'll have to live in the Porsche, but I will look rich driving down the street for all the ladies or whatever, I was like, nobody's getting rich out there. Just go get a job. You don't have to come to this place because this place sucks. They don't understand the concept of money. I tell them, and I try to educate them because I'm in there with them. And like, I feel bad for some of them because like some of them didn't stand a chance. I'll be like, it's not about how much money you have. It's about how much money you can borrow. In life, it's about how much money you can borrow, not how much money you have. Nobody buys a house cash outright. Not even Bill Gates is buying a house cash outright. He'll put $100,000 down on a $5 million house, or put $1 million down on a $5 million house to get the loan from the bank. Now he has the money, but he's going to make it work for him while he pays it back a little bit at a time. And they'll look at that. They're like, no, then you owe. Like, yeah, of course we all owe. Everybody owes something. Everybody owes money to somebody at some point, somewhere along the line. Yep. They can't grasp that concept. They want cash. They all want to be rappers. I have a couple famous rappers that have been in there, and like there's one kid who's a famous rapper. He's the drill rap or something, and I'm like, drill rap? What is that? He's like, this kid. I'm like, you're the famous rapper that everybody's been talking about? He's like, yeah. So I looked up his album, and he's holding a stack of cash like this on his album. And then I looked up his net worth. His net worth was $60,000. So I'm like, is this? And I showed him the picture. I'm like, is this the whole $60,000 right here? And he's like, oh, come on. They just don't understand the concept of money. So they think a couple $1,000. I'm not throwing my career away to bring you in some drugs.
Yeah.
I'm not doing it. And then they'll ask me, yo, can you go upstairs? My cousin's upstairs and grab the drug. No, they won't say drugs. Grab some food. I'm like, no, because you can't. Don't ask the cops to help you get your drugs. Like, you guys got to know how to jail. You guys are going to be going upstate in a little bit. You can't be pulling this garbage upstate. They'll eat you alive up there. Like, you're embarrassing yourselves here. Don't ask the cops to go get your drugs. Figure it out.
Yeah. Are there,
but, like I said, it's a wild spot. It's a wild place.
Are there like on the tablets, they have educational programs to help them?
They do.
Learn
They do
those
have
type of life
educational
skills?
programs. They do have they have puzzles. They have movies. They have educational programs. And like I said, the tablets, people can complain about the tablet. Oh, they give them tablets. Listen, it keeps them busy. It does. It keeps them busy for a little bit. They're bored, so they're kids, so they get in trouble. But they could also go to school. They could go get a GED. We have a school, like classrooms in one part of the jail where the kids can go to school and get their GED. There's reentry programs. It's called there's like discharge planning. So if you're going to get discharged, they will help you. But the recidivism rate is like 80%. So like 88 out of every 10 people are going to come back. And I tell the kids all the time, I go, look at the old timer, the OG that delivers the food. Go ask him what it's like. Because he was you. He was running around 20, 30, 40 years ago. He was you. Running around here, acting crazy, doing crazy stuff, cutting each other up in the face and stuff. Ask him if it was worth it. Because he threw his life away already. It's over. Ask him because you're going to be him. Now he sleeps he sleeps in the dorm. He sleeps next to the officer. Do you want to be that guy? Go out there and live your life. Because they'll be saying all the time, like, oh, this place is for the birds. This place sucks. This jail sucks. I'm like, of course it does. It's jail. It's not supposed to be this glorious place, So, but there is educational programs. They do get to, they can go get their GED. They basically just go to school to pass drugs, and they're not really putting any effort into it. But there is educational programs if they want them. Yeah.
Are there ever like, I don't know, like good kids that want to get like actually not want to sell drugs or doing the things, and then they just did something bad, and then you can identify them, kind of help them get on a better path? Like, it's kind of hard because they're in that environment. It's kind of like you have to kind of mold to it.
Yeah, they have. Well, that's what it is. A lot of times, like there are some kids who just got kind of you almost feel bad for them. Some of them are even like in for murder. Like I'll be telling them stories and stuff. Like I talk to these guys. I'm there with you. I'm usually there 16 hours a lot of times I work because we have forced overtime. So like my 8-hour tour, 5:30 just the other day, just 2 days ago. 5:30, 5:15, the captain called me and she said, "You're stuck. You're staying right there for a whole nother 8 hours." Okay. So I'm there with them a lot. And there are good kids. You really can't act it though. They're gonna pick you out as weak. Like if I take my spray out and I'm telling them, some guy's threatening me or whatever, and I take my pepper spray out, their reaction is usually, if you do that, I'm gonna break your jaw. I'm gonna cut you. I'm gonna cut you up. You spray me, I'm gonna cut you. I'm gonna beat the what out of you. And I'm like, no, you won't. Listen, I got sprayed with this stuff, okay, in the academy. It doesn't hurt you any less than it hurts me because you're in the Bloods. It doesn't say on this can right here that it hurts Bloods less effective on gang members. So, but they have to act like that. That's them acting scared, because if they act scared, if they're like, oh, no, please don't spray me. Please don't spray me. That's weakness. They can't show weakness. The other guys will jump all over that. Mm-hmm. So I get why they do that. They have to act tough, because a lot of them, I'll be like, you're not tough like this. I'll pull them aside. I'll be like, yo, well, what are you talking about? You're going to break my jaw. That's like, you're not tough like that. You don't move like that. I watch you. I know you. You don't move like that ever. Stop acting like that. If you want to stay quiet, that's fine. Because a lot of them, they don't want you closing their cell. They want their cell open. I can't have your cell open. I'll open your cell if you need to go in there and get it. But I'm not going to have your 15 cells open. That looks crazy. That looks crazy on the camera. So, but there are good kids. A lot of them, too, though, it's too late. They're in there for murder or for, armed robbery. Something bad where, like, they look at, and I try to explain to them, hey, listen, do you think I'm old, man? And some of them will be like, yeah, you're old. I'm like, all right, not you, screw you. But they'll be like, no, you're not that old. I go, even if you do the 20 years, you're my age. So you still have a life of after this. Because, they all think, like, a lot of them, like, going back to me saying they don't know the justice system. They think they'll be like, I got a paid lawyer. I'm getting off. I got a paid lawyer. Or there's no video of me. They got no video. You know what I say to them? I go, if I was being accused of a crime, you know what I would want? Video of the crime. Because I'm not on the video. I didn't do it. So, like, I'd be like, where's the video? I didn't do this. And they'll ask me a lot of advice sometimes, like, oh, do you think I should take this deal? And I'll say, listen, if you did it, and only you did it, if you did it or not, take the deal. Because if you go to trial and you blow trial is what they say, if you get found guilty, you're going to do the max. And that's like 25 to life, or take the deal, take whatever deal they're offering. They're like, oh, I'm no rat. I'm like, I'd be ratting everybody out. If it means like less 5 years under my sentence, I'd be ratting everybody out. But there are some good kids. You can tell they didn't stand a chance. It's a lot of economic. It's mostly minorities in there. And there is some, like, I guess it's not racist to it, but there's no reason why it should be 85% minorities when the city is not 85% black and Hispanic. It just shouldn't be like that. You can't tell me white people aren't out there committing any crimes, because they are. It's an economic thing. They have no money. So a lot of them, let's say their mother's working 2 jobs, but she's got 2 low-paying jobs. She works all the time. She's trying hard. She's trying to provide for him. Her kid wants the Nikes, but she doesn't have $150 to get the new Jordans for him. He doesn't understand that because he's just a kid. So he'll go out and they live in the project, saying, when the guy will pull him aside and be like, hey, I heard you want those Nikes. I got them for you. I just need you to stand over there. And when I send somebody over, just give him one of these bags. And then bam, they're in the club. They're in the gang. And then now they think they're cool. Being in the gang is cool and this and that. I try to tell them. I don't know. Sometimes it falls on deaf ears. They'll be like, oh, I have sex with so many more women than you. I'm like, stop. No, nobody goes. I go, everybody has sex. Everybody. I go, look around. I go, there's ugly people. There's fat people. There's skinny people. Everybody has sex. Stop bragging about having sex. You know what you don't want when you get older? Like 20 girlfriends. That's not what you want, because it's a nightmare if you have like 20 girlfriends. I'm like, just live your life. Have your girlfriend. Do your thing. They're kids. And sometimes you'll see that they're kids when they start playing around. And I'm like, look at these guys. They're kids. This kid's facing 20 years. He was just all over the news last night. So it's the gang, and they shoot each other and this and that. It's terrible. And they threaten you. Like, I'll close someone's cell and they'll be like, I'm going to kill your family. I'm going to rape your daughter. And I'm like, hold on, stop right there. You're going to murder my family and rape my daughter. And when you're doing the perp walk, they're going to say, why'd you do this? He's going to go, oh, he closed my cell 2 years ago. I was like, is that what we're doing here? Like, is that what we're doing? Like, come on. It's just ridiculous. Like, and then like 2 of them will laugh. Because they'll be like, because I do, like, I'll try and be realistic with them. I'm like, stop talking like that. That's crazy. Just in here doing my job. I'm trying not to get in trouble. Because it's hard. It's a hard job. But I like it. Because I'm not tough at all. Like I said, I'm not fighting any of these guys. They'll be like, you tough like this in the town? I'm like, absolutely not. I don't have this pepper spray in the town. I don't have this alarm that I push and a bunch of people come. I see you in the town, I'm running the other way. And they'll be like, no, you don't have to do that, Walters. I'll buy you a beer or something. I'm like, you're not even old enough to buy beers. What are you talking about? Mm-hmm. But yeah, to answer your question, there are some good kids that you feel bad for. A lot of them are bad, though. Most of them are just, they're just bad kids.
Yeah. One thing you said there about how, like, sometimes when when someone's like acting up and they're threatening you and they're getting aggressive towards you, and you're taking out your pepper spray. Like one thing I'm noting there is that if you say you're gonna do something, just do it, and that usually makes everything else easier. The worst advice I ever got was when I was I don't know if it's the worst advice, but it's advice I'm gonna repair it now. When I was in middle school, there was like a kid who was bullying me, and my mom said, "You know what you should do, Lowell? You should let him beat you up. And then cry a lot. You know, he'll be so embarrassed he'll never hit you again." I was like, that's the stupidest idea I have ever heard, because then everyone's gonna beat me up the next day, you know. But like when someone is in that state where they have to, like if they back down, then people might see them as weak and attack them. What do you do to like kind of give them an out, and will they to the way where they can see it's an out, so they can kind of de-escalate it, or is it just one of those situations where you impose your will to the point where they back down?
No, listen, I get that they have to act tough. And like I said, like if it gets to the point where I take my pepper spray out, and like I say to them, I go, listen, no, you're not gonna stop. You're not gonna. I've been doing this a long time. I know you're not gonna come at me. They're like, oh, I eat that spray. No, you don't. No, you don't. Okay, and they know that. But a lot of times when they're being aggressive, it's not. Those are the ones that you really don't have to worry about. The ones that are talking crazy. Oh, you know, this and that. It's the quiet one in the back that never says anything. That's the one you need to worry about, because he'll just go stab somebody or something, and you know. But I get that they have to talk like that. I get the environment that they're in. You know, it's a terrible environment. They're very quick to be angry. They want everything right away. They'll be up on because there's a bubble officer. They're in like the bubble. They push to open the cells, and then there's the B officer, which is, you know, I'll work both, but if I'm on the floor officer is the B officer. So like they'll go up to the bubble and they'll be like, open 18, and she'll be like, ask your officer on the floor. Or she'll go, I'll open 18. I'll open in a minute. And then they start banging on your window. Like, stop. It doesn't have to be. Is there some kind of an emergency? If I don't open 18 right now, because you do this so much now if there is an emergency, it's going to be a boy who cried wolf. I'm not going to, like, we just tune it out now when they're banging on the window or whatnot. But yeah, you I'll give them an out. Like I said, I'm not. And I spray a lot. Like I use my pepper spray a lot. I have a lot of use of force, but that's because I'm not getting involved in like hands-on stuff. If I feel threatened, I'm going to use it. It's not a bad thing. Nobody gets hurt. It works like a charm. They immediately like it hurts. I usually end up throwing up on the floor, waiting for the backup to come, because it gets the whole area. It's not like a straight stream. It's like an aerosol. It's sprayed in like a cone shape. So like if you spray it, it airs out the whole room, and everybody goes running, and like I'll be coughing, and I'll usually cough so much I'll throw up on the floor, waiting for the team to come. But I try not to do that. I don't like doing that. I gotta see these guys, you know, like if they're fighting, and they know when it's coming. If they're fighting each other, they know I'm gonna say, hey, stop fighting, and then I'm gonna spray, because I can't have you fighting like that. But fights happen, you know, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. It's jail, you know, so stuff like that's going to happen. But yeah, you give them an out a little bit. Like I'll let them talk for a while. I'll let them say crazy stuff to me. And they'll be like, you know, are you done? Are you done? Because this is all over a cereal. You didn't get an extra cereal. Are you done saying you're going to do this and that to me? And you're gonna shoot me and this and that. Are you done? Like I'm not gonna sit there immediately. I don't try not to be confrontational with them. You know, one, because there's a bunch of them. If they decide they want to jump me, there's nothing I could do. That's why we don't carry guns in the jail. Because if I had a gun in there, yeah, they can decide we're taking the gun. I might shoot two of them, but they're gonna eventually get that gun, and then it's over. So we don't carry. That's why we don't carry guns in there. So you just try and work it out. You try and de-escalate the situation. And I like to talk. So I mean, I could get, you know, I'm pretty good at de-escalating stuff, but sometimes it just doesn't work.
Yeah. How do you have you read ever Robert Greene's 48 Laws of Power? I think it's somewhere behind me. Have you ever read that? I
haven't. I
heard it's like, yeah, it's pretty good. I heard it's like one of the number one recommended, like people request books in prison and jails is that book. And I was just going to ask you if like any of the thing, if you like, it seems like you have a really good opportunity just to watch people. It's kind of like a zoo. You never know what's going to happen, but also you have to be mindful of what's happening at a given point. So I was just curious, like what, I've been wondering about archetypes of people and like how they act based on who they appear to be or who they claim to be and stuff like that. Like the difference between a person who's like mouthing off to you versus the person who's just sitting there kind of waiting. Like I agree with you. It's never like the one who's mouthing off. It's like, especially if, I don't know if anyone's watched like a fighting, like Street Fight or something online. Like the person who's like mouthing at you is like usually never a person who hits you, unless they look away. Then they'll hit you because like they want you not to think they're gonna hit you. It's always the friend who's kind of like slowly.
So
the guy's like slowly.
That's not the guy you gotta worry about. The sucker punch guy is not who you have to worry about.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like a sociology almost thing in there.
Yeah.
Like I could go into a house and after like if there's a real high ranking, let's say blood member in there, right? He will do most of the way. He will lock the house in for me. He doesn't want to make it hot in the house. Like when they're screaming and yelling and they're refusing to lock in, I'm gonna call an alarm. They're gonna come down there. Now they might come and search. Screw these guys. Go down there and search. They don't want that. And I tell them that all the time. Like this, like you're making it. They're like, yo, you're gonna make it hot. I'm like, you're making it hot in here. So if there's a real high-ranking like gang member, he will lock the house in. Hey, listen, don't worry. He'll say to me, don't worry, we lock in here. Because they lock in at 9 o'clock. They lock in at 7 o'clock in the morning. They come out at 5. They lock in at 7 and 3 for the count. And then they lock in for the night from 9 p.m. until 5. But he'll say to me, like when I get there, hey, listen, don't worry about it. This house locks in. I'll take care of it. Okay. And you'll see. Someone will start mouthing off and he'll come over and he'll be like, yo, we don't do that in here. What are you doing? And he'll take care of it because they listen because it's a power structure. They'll be so you do see the power structure and real quick, like just spending a couple of days, I know who the drug dealer is. I know who this is. And there's certain things that you have to let go. I can't and they'll say to you a lot of times, stop being a cop. You're not a cop in here. I mean, we're the police inside the jail, but there's certain things you got to let go. Like if they're smoking a joint in the corner, I'm not going to go bust it up and try and take, just not going to do that. But do it respectful, respect me. They'll learn real quick what I let go and what I don't let go. And each officer, it's different. Like, I don't like them sitting in my chair. I'll get up to go walk down the tier. I'll come back and they're in the chair with their feet up. I'm like, what are you doing? Get out of my chair. I just find that so disrespectful. Get out of my chair. No, bro, no. All right, fine. You want to sit there? And I'll give them the pen. I'll be like, you got to do all the work. You got to do the tours. You got to write in that logbook. Like, no, forget it. But they learn real quick that there's certain things that I don't let go. They have to start fires, right? They have to start a fire to light their cigarettes or their drugs. So what they do to start a fire, there's no lighters. What they do is they take the metal piece of the mask that you put around your nose. They'll take that out of the mask, and they put toilet paper and stuff in a toilet paper tube, and they'll jam the metal thing into the socket, the wall socket. It creates a spark, lighting this thing because it's easily flammable. And they'll take a mop, like a string mop, string mops that you mop the floor with. They'll take one of the strings off and they'll light that, and that burns slowly. That's a wick. But what they'll do is they'll use the outlet right in front of my face. Like I'll be sitting at my desk and it's right there. There's an outlet right there, maybe 7 feet away. And they'll be like, go in the gym, and I'm like, what are you doing? And they're like, what? I'm like, I'm right here. Like I'm right here watching this happen. There's outlets in the back, and you have to use the one that's right in front of me. That no matter what on this camera, I'm looking. Don't look at it then. Don't look at it. I can't not be looking at it. It's literally right in front of me. Even if I look over here, I see you guys doing something. Be respectful. And then they'll sometimes be like, if that's the only outlet, they'll come up to me and be like, yo, well, just take a walk down the tier. All right, got you. Do the right thing. Make it. Don't try. They'll look out for you a little bit, but don't be doing it right in front of me, and expect me not to say something. Like I get it. You're gonna smoke. I'd almost rather you smoke some weed. They don't smoke weed though. They smoke it's not fentanyl. They say it's fentanyl. I tell them it can't be fentanyl because there'd be a lot more dead bodies in here. They smoke it. It comes in on the mail. They liquefy it and paint it on paper. And like, listen, I'm not taking drugs from you. I'm not going to go in there and take drugs from you. For one reason, there's 30 of you, and you guys will just stop me. We'll come in on a search, and we'll shut the place down, and we'll take drugs and stuff then. But just be respectful. Like, show some respect. They'll come and be like, "Yo, effing this, you open my effing son." Yo, how about you ask me not? How about please? But they don't know that. Be like, "Oh, yo, sorry. Yo, please, can I please?" Yeah, I think like it's 5 o'clock in the morning. What are you doing? Don't be coming out here screaming at me. I didn't do nothing to you. You shine the flashlight in my cell all night. Well, because I got to make sure you're alive. You're my money. Remember, you're live breathing bodies. I got to have you breathing because I'm in big trouble if I die. And like, if you die, but you got to do your tours. I say a lot of times, like the Epstein, when Epstein died, when he killed himself in prison, in the federal jail here, the officers ended up getting in trouble. Now, they fell asleep. They didn't get in trouble because they didn't go to jail because they fell asleep. Because it's reasonable. It might happen. Okay, we're working like 20-hour days, 18-hour days. It's reasonable. You might fall asleep. But what they did was they lied in the logbook, and that's the felony. So what they did is they fell asleep from, let's say, 1 o'clock until 2:30. At 2:30, they woke up and they filled in 1:30 tour of area, nothing to report. 2 o'clock tour of area, nothing to report. That's a felony. That's a legal document right there. And you're falsifying a legal document. So I tell like the new officers, I go, listen, if you fall asleep or something, if you don't do it, don't write it. Because if it's not on paper, it never happened. Don't lie about what you did in the use of force. Like I had my partner got punched in the face. And the guy drops to his knees like this and he puts his hands up. Because now we can't do anything. I'm only allowed to use force against force. So he's not a threat now. He's on his knees. He's going, okay, he punched him in the face for whatever reason. Now, the way I got around that is I said, hey, put your hands behind your back. Put your hands behind your back. He didn't do that. He wasn't obeying my direct orders. I was able to spray him. Another time my partner got punched in the face, the inmate ran. My partner started chasing him around, right? So he's chasing him around. You hear that, right? The sirens. My partner's chasing him around the housing area, stops. They square up with each other. And as they go to punch him, I just sprayed both of them. And they were like, you probably saved his job. And I'm like, what? Because he was chasing him. And then my partner's writing in his report. And he's like, I'm like, you're going to be in trouble. Because why were you chasing him? Why were you fighting him? I was trying to apprehend him. And I'm like, well, where's he going? We're in jail. Where's he going? Like, you were running to get him from where? No, but I go, listen, here's the deal. You were upset because he punched you in the face, right? Yeah. That's why you chased him. You might have to eat a couple vacation days. They're going to take a couple of vacation days from you. But don't lie on that report because now you're fired and it's a felony. Just write what happened. There's cameras all over the place. Someone will understand that you were angry because you punched me. If you punch me in the face right now, I'm going to be angry. So I might go after you. Now, I can't continuously just start beating on you. I can't do that. That's not right. It's not our job to punish. That's the court's job. The court's job is to punish. My job is not to punish you. If you punch me in the face, or like if you throw urine on me, that's a big thing they do. They'll throw, they're called splash you. Mm-hmm. Listen, if you splash me, I'm allowed to spray to prevent the throwing of liquid or bodily fluid. It says it right in the use of force. I can't do it as punishment. So if I'm going to do it, it better be like simultaneous. If you throw something on me, I can't pull my spray out and then spray you. Because now why am I doing it? I'm punishing you. Because I'm pissed. You just threw urine on my uniform. I'm pissed off you. Then I'm punishing you. That's not my job. That's the court's job. The court's job is to punish you. My job is to just care, custody, and control. And sometimes you lose sense of that. Like you just threw piss on me. I'm pissed. So sometimes people will spray. I go, but just don't lie in the report. You did it. You punished them. You're going to have to eat a couple of vacation days. You might get suspended for a week. But if you lie in that report, that's a felony. So don't do that.
Were you taught this, or it seems like it might just be a part of your personality, but was this a part of like your training to have this mentality?
Yeah, they tell you that, but a lot of people don't listen to it. I'm like, I try not to let things bother me. correctional officers have a very low lifespan, one of the lowest from anybody. And like, I just try to teach. It makes sense to me. I get it. Like a lot of people, like, I hate to say it like that they're Republicans. I'm a liberal. I'm a Democrat. A lot of these guys are like, oh, these guys don't stand a chance. I get it. These guys have not been convicted, most of them. Yeah, they probably did it, but they get their day in court. We have a whole process here. Okay. So like, they're detainees. They're just being held for trial. And I get it. They're bad people. A lot of them have done it. 99.9% of them are guilty of sin. But that's not our job to judge, you know? And for some reason, I work with a lot of people a lot of them are Republicans. And it doesn't make sense to me. I go, first of all, and they'll say, well, the Democrats, they hate police. They hate police. I go, no reasonable person, Democrat, Republican, hates police. No reasonable person. Okay? You are, and I am, a government union employee. That right there is the definition of a Democrat. You want to bear it down to whatever, that's the definition. Nobody hates police. Like, we just know that people have rights. Like, we can't beat these inmates up. I get it. It'd be nice to sometimes, you know, but we can't do it. You can't do it. It's not your job. So like, and they'll be like, oh, it's not like the old days, like they used to do it. Okay. But now there's cameras. And the way I say that is I go, in the old days, if they threw an inmate down the stairs, did they write in their report, and then I threw said inmate down the stairs? No. They wrote that he tripped and fell down the stairs. But there's no cameras. There's cameras now. And people are like, oh, these cameras are just a part of life. They're everywhere. Mm-hmm. Like the speed cameras. We have them all over the place. Okay. And there's no argument. Nobody likes the speed cameras. There's no valid argument against the speed camera, except I want to speed.
Yeah.
I want to break the law. That's it. That's the only argument. You can't have, it sucks that you get, why are they in so many places? It doesn't matter. What if they weren't there? You want to speed through this area? So you want to break the law? It says that like, it's like 40% less the death rate if getting hit with a vehicle is 45% less at 25 miles an hour than it is at 30. So that's why they're there. That's a good argument. Your argument's over. What's your argument? I want to speed. You'll never win that. You'll never win that argument. So like, they do teach you that. But people don't, you know, they're in the moment. They stress things, and it's a stressful environment. I try not to let things stress me out, to be honest with you. I really don't, because I'm not dying early. I'm not going to work 20 years to get this pension and die six months later. I get it. I get why they are the way they are. I'd be pissed off if I was in jail every day too, you know, and we're working a lot. Like, but with the Democrat and Republican thing, I go, you listen, go to Alabama, go to Alabama. I don't know where you are, but go to Alabama and see what they get paid. Like $30,000. We are the second highest paid correctional officers in the country. Okay, so you don't like this? They'll be like, this job sucks. They don't care about us. No, I got news for you. Nobody cares. No job cares about you. Go work for a company somewhere. Make your 40, 50,000. Get your $500 Christmas bonus. Get your week vacation. Get your weekends off. But you're not going to be able to stop working. You don't get a pension. So let's say you want to retire at 65 and you have $1 million because you sold a house for $1.5 million. And then all of a sudden you're 88 and you run out of money. What do? You can't go back to work. You're 88 years old. Now you're going to live on Social Security, small Social Security, because you didn't put in a lot. Here you're going to get max Social Security. So I'm like, it's not a bad job. A lot of them are young. I wish I came on at 21 years old. I'd be done. I'd be sitting here talking, instead of veteran correctional officer, I would say retired correctional officer. You know, I mean, that's the dream. Anytime someone retires, I'm like, you know what? That's the dream right there. That's why I took this job, so I could stop working. Yeah. And I love it because I get to be a little tough in there. You know, I'm not tough at all. I'm not fighting you. I'm not fighting anybody, but I get to play tough. Fake it till you make it. Mm-hmm. And it's not the kind of job where there's a million different ways to do it. Like you walk into like if I put you in a room, a big room, 50 dudes, 50 adults, all criminals, all bad guys, and said, all right, Go lock them in their cells. Go tell them to lock in. How do you do it? All right, on the lock it. Yeah, we ain't locking in today. We didn't get wrecked. We ain't locking in. What, like, these are adults. I'm an adult. Don't tell me what to do. Don't tell me to lock in. Who are you? I've never seen you before. Who is this guy? I've never seen him before. I ain't locking in. But there's ways to do it. Like, you kind of just work with them. Like there'll be and I don't have to do things to like you got to be smart. There's a reason why, big dinosaurs and big huge animals are not ruling the earth. We're not the biggest animal, but we got the biggest brain. We're the smartest. And if you're smarter than somebody, you can. It's not about how big you are. Like if it's somebody's really annoying me, well, he'll say like, "Oh, he thinks I did something to his food. Did you do something to my food?" No, first of all, I would never do something to someone's food. And I'm offended that you even asked me that. But let's say, and I'll tell him, I go, I don't have to do anything to your food. I'm pissed off at you. You're pissed off at me. If I hand you the food and say, make sure you eat this one real slow, and then walk away, you're not eating it. I didn't do anything to it, but you're not eating it because I might have done something to it, and you're not sure. Right? So now you just gotta, if I or someone will come, they'll be scared to come out, right? So they hadn't come out in a couple of days. So they'll call you over and they'll be like, "Hey, listen, before the house locks out at 5 a.m., you think you can let me out at 4 to take a shower? Because I can't come out. I'm no good in this house for whatever the reason." Yeah, no problem. I got you. I let him out at 4. He takes a shower. 4:45. He's like, "I ain't going back in. I'm going, take me to the intake. Call the intake. I'm not going back in." Now, when you first start, you're like, "Oh no, what am I going to do? The whole house, I got to lock them out. This guy's not supposed to be in the cell. He's not supposed to be coming out." So now I just go, "All right, no problem. It's your right to come out at 5 o'clock. You can hang out here. I'm going to lock this house out, though, in 10 minutes. So in 10 minutes, he's like, "Oh, God, I ain't going. Call the captain. Call the captain." 10 minutes later, I'm like, all right, fellas, on the lockout. And I'll be like, open 8, open 16, open 9. He goes running back into his cell. Why? Because he's scared to death. He wants to hang out. Listen, I can explain a fight that happens out in the open in the day room. This is jail. Stuff's going to happen. People are going to fight. There are fights. I don't want you fighting in the cell. That I can't explain because that means I didn't close the cell. But he's going to go back into his cell. Why? Because he's scared to death. Well, they'll step outside the housing area, and there's like a little hallway between. Here's the housing area. There's a little hallway, and then there's the corridor where it's like the main jail. They'll step out. They'll call sticking it up. Nah, I ain't going back in. It's a stick up. All right, fine. So stay out there. I don't care. Where you going? You're not going anywhere. Stay out there. And I'll go back in. I'll just go back doing my job. 20 minutes later, 10 minutes later, they're banging on the thing. Yo, open the door. Open the door. Because they just wanted attention. Like, fine. You want to go out? I don't care. You're not running away. You're going to escape. Where are you escaping to? You won't make it to halfway across this lake at the river. What would you do if I escaped? I go, what do you mean? What am I going to do? You ain't going anywhere. Nobody escapes here. You can't. Do you even know how to swim? Like, come on. Well, they'll be like, I'm gonna. When they say like, I'm gonna kill your family, I'll be like, oh yeah, you don't know where my family lives. I got your family's address right here, buddy. Go into your mom's house tonight. Tell her to be ready. I'll be there at 6 because I don't like when she makes me wait. And they'll be like, what? And I'll walk away and I'll be like, sometimes I'll do that. I'll be like, oh yeah, I can't go back to that house tomorrow. I'm no good in that house.
Yeah.
But you got to just kind of have fun with it. You almost like, they'll say stuff and I'll be like, that's so ridiculous what you just said. And the other ones will start laughing because it is ridiculous. It's not even tough. Like, you're going to murder this and you're going to kill this and stop. Like, I had all of them one time I was talking, we were just, BSing around. And like I said, they're kids. So they'll start talking about their sexual conquests and this and that. And I'll be like, how many times have you had to apologize after sex? You're like, what? I'm like, well, you guys are all just like your stallions here. When I hear, how many times have you had to apologize? What are you talking about? I'm like, well, maybe it didn't work. Maybe it was over in 3 seconds. Like, no, but that ain't never happened. Never happened to me. I do like 20 girls. I'm like, you're all lying, first of all. I go, you're all lying. And then one dude will be like, oh, yeah, one time this. Like, say he's telling the truth. And then all of a sudden they all start being like, well, there was this one time I was drunk. Like, say, like, we're all people. It's not, you're not all perfect gangsters. We're human beings. Stop acting like that. I'm here every day with you idiots. I know what you're doing. Stop. And they're kids. And like, I tell them stories. And I tell them about, this. And I tell them I have a podcast. A lot of officers will be like, I'm not telling them my name, my first name. I'm like, listen, you're a public employee. If they want to find, first of all, they want to find your first name out, they're going to figure it out. You're paid by the taxpayers, So I try and be honest with them. If you lie to these guys too, they're going to know. They know if you're trying to be somebody you're not, they're going to know. They're very what's the word? They're like conniving, and they're not dumb. Some of the stuff they make, and I'm like, what is this? Like, if you just put this much effort into something constructive out there, you wouldn't even be here. The stuff they make and the way they do stuff, like, it's amazing. But it is what it is. They're there, and I explained to them too that there's been. They're like, I don't know why they offered me this much time. They only offered me 6 years. They only offered me that. I was like, but there's a victim to your crime somewhere out there. There's somebody going to the DA going, don't give him less than 5 years. My baby was shot. My baby, he's dead. So you guys got to understand, there's victims to your crimes. When I got assaulted. I broke my nose. The DA came to me and he said, listen, we're looking at giving him 7 years. And I said, 7 years? I said, that's a long time. I mean, I get it. He's a gang. He's been, but 7 years for break. Like, if you went out to the bar tonight and you broke somebody's nose, you're not getting 7 years. And now I understand it's got to be a little harsher because they got to set example where the police in there. But 7 years, I was like, that's a lot. That's a lot of time. And I remember when I came back to work, one of the captains was like, oh, how are you doing, this and that? And I said, oh, they're just, they're looking to make a deal with them, this and that. They offered him 7 years. She's like, 7 years? That's terrible. He should be getting way more than 7 years. I'm like, really? Like, how much time do you think he should be getting? I get it. He broke my nose. It hurt. I never got punched in the face. But 7 years is a long time. Like, really? Maybe 4 years, maybe 5 years. Because when you think about how long 7 years is, think about 7 years ago. It's forever ago. And especially when we're older. This kid's 19. So, and like, I'm just realistic with them a lot of times. They'll be like, what are you going to do if I see you in the town and I shoot you? I'm like, probably die. Because isn't that what happens? They'll be like, what do you do if I punch you in the face right now? I was like, probably break my jaw, go to the hospital. Like, that's not what they expect me to say. They expect you to be like, wait, I'm going to knock you out back. Not knocking you. I'll probably start crying or something. Punch me in the face? That shit hurts, Mm-hmm. So you just got to try to be real with them. But yeah, they tried to give the guy 7 years. He ended up bailing out on my case and getting into all kinds of other trouble. So he's doing like a whole bunch of time. But 7 years is a long time, I thought. And that's like the liberal in me coming out. And people always be like, oh, yeah, liberals, this and that. Liberals are ruining this city. Well, this is a big city. New York is a big city. I don't understand why they can't give us more money. We make good money. We make very good money. I don't like, what did you think this job was going to be? They don't protect us. What did you think this job was going to be? You knew what you were getting into. You knew that it's a dangerous job, that you might get assaulted. And then they'll say all the time, these inmates aren't getting punished at all for this. I go, yeah, and I'll tell them the story I just told you. I go, they offered the guy 7 years for breaking my nose. You break somebody's nose, you're not getting 7 years. 7 years is a long time. Mm-hmm. And you just be real with them and you joke around with them. Like, if someone's pissed off at me, they'll be like, oh, they're in here for attempted murder. They'll be like, I'm in here for attempted murder. And I'll be like, oh, you couldn't even get that right, huh? So like, I just try to, make my day go by. Long days. I've been there a lot. 18, 20. Sometimes I spend more time with these guys than I do with my wife, with my family. Yeah.
Do you have any ambition to, like, I don't know what the term would be, get
rank
promoted
up?
So you can be rank up. I was just thinking, like, it sounded like a video game, so it's probably not called that.
No, it's rank. Yeah. I do. It's a test. You just take a test. It's civil service. So I would absolutely. I've taken the captain's test, and they right now recently they haven't been. We've been low on staff. Like I've been doing a lot of times. My first 2 years, I did. I doubled my salary, which people are like, oh great, double your salary, but it's not blood money. I'm in there work. To double your salary, you have to work a lot of overtime. Just this last week, I worked because we do 4 days on, 2 off, so it's like a 6-day week. So I did on my so it's either for us correction officer, it's either our first, our second, our third, or our last. That's how we reference it. So on my first, I did 16 hours. On my second, I did like 12 hours. On my third, I did 12 hours, and I did 16 hours on my last. So I work a lot of overtime. They're starting to put new classes in the academy and get them out of there. So I'm guessing there'll be more, exams. They got to offer the exam, and you just basically, it's a civil service exam. You take the test, and I would like to move up though. Absolutely. Because it's the only way I can up my pension. The way they used to do it was they take your last 5 years, they throw out the highest paid, the lowest paid, and they average the 3 together. So what people would do is they would just live there. Because the last 5 years, you're doing easy posts. They're not throwing you in there in the garbage housing areas with so people would just rack up like big time pensions. And now it's just our department. So people be working there, they make $200,000, $250,000, $270,000 in the year. Now the city's going to be on the hook for $150,000 pension, because our pension is 50% of our pay for the rest of our lives. And then if I die, my wife gets the pension. So that's just our department that was doing that. You also have the police department, the fire department, the sanitation department. The city couldn't afford it. So what they did was they said, I can't make $160,000 this year and then make $210,000 next year and have all that money be pensionable. We can't afford it. So what that does is it means the way I get my pension up is I rank up, because now I make, like right now I'm at top pay. So when I hit top pay, that's my last raise. The only raises I get now are contractual. So when we get a new contract, it'll go up a little bit. But top pay, now it's a nice pay, but I want to. So if I rank up to captain, bam, now I start over again, 5 more pay scales.
Yeah.
And then if I rank up to assistant deputy warden, those are the 2 ranks that you can rank up. After that, it's a political selection, and it gets very political.
Yeah.
But the first 2 are just tests, just civil service tests. I absolutely would like to.
Given the fact that like some of your colleagues are different in how they see the world, do you think that would be like a discriminating factor in terms of your getting promoted?
Well, I'm the minority in there. Most of my coworkers are minorities. And wait, what was the question? Do I think what?
But basically, do you think the fact that you're liberal would make it difficult for you to be promoted because you don't act like, like the boys club type thing? Like you're generally
no. Well, I'm going to tell you why, because that's not a factor. You don't get chosen to be promoted. It's a civil service test. You take the test.
Okay.
It's just a number. Okay. You score the highest on the test, you're number 1. So when they go to promote anybody, you're promoted first.
Oh, that's neat.
So that's how civil service is. I'm sure. Well, I don't even know where you are, but I'm sure it's the same way.
Midwest.
Civil service tests are like that. It's civil service law. It's a lot because it's also like it also helps us out. Civil service is great like that, but it also breeds laziness. Like I tell them, the ones that are like, "Yo, this job sucks." I'm like, okay, so if I come in late, I don't have a boss. The captain might be my supervisor, but she can't tell me you're fired. I have union protection. If I come in late tomorrow, she can't be like, well, if you come late next week at all, you're fired. No, here's my late slip. I'm coming in. Or I need you to do that. That's not my job. I'm not doing that. I go, where can you say that? We say that all the time. That's not my job. I'm not doing that. Mm-hmm. So like, I don't have a boss, so it breeds laziness. Like, so, but yeah, the civil service exam is just a test, and that's how I got the job too. Take the test, and you get a number ranking, And when they get to your number on the list is good for, I think, 7 years. When they get to your number, you get the job. Or you get the promotion, as long as you're not facing charges or something like that, like departmental charges, But like you do a 2-year probation. So when you come on the job, like we have unlimited sick. I have unlimited sick days. So I call if I want to call in sick, I just call in sick. I bang in sick. And like it's paid if I get hurt on the job. Like if you slip and fall at your job and you break your leg and you're out for 3 months, right? You go on disability.
Yeah.
Which sucks. I get my full pay. No matter what. If I go out and like when I broke my nose, I was out for let's say, I think I was out for a month, right? So I got my full pay during that month. Now when I put in the workers' comp case, so when I get my pay, my check from the workers' comp, I got to pay back the money that I paid when I was out. So if they paid me, let's say $10,000 while I was out just on my salary, and my comp check is $85,000, they take $10,000.
Yeah. Okay.
And people bitching on about that too. I'm like, wait, that's tax-free money too. There's no tax on the comp check. Where are you getting taxed? That's the only tax-free money you will ever get in your life. I tell these people, I only got $85,000. I'm like, 80. Oh, that's it. Stop.
Yeah.
You would, so it's crazy. But I definitely would like to rank up. I definitely would. I like. Plus, it's easier, up there. I'm not in the when you're a captain, you just come and you tour, and it's a lot of paperwork. It's not a lot of like I'm in there with the inmates. This is like I'm in there. I'm on the floor. I'm in the shit with these guys. I'm there. The only difference between me and them is I got a badge.
Yeah.
Well,
I think the mindset that you have thus far, just like how you handle situations, how you de-escalate, how you think about it, it seems like something that should be rewarded with promotions, and maybe, I don't know, to the extent like captains can influence and encourage the right behaviors down the line. But
you can get better posts. It actually probably deters from it because they'll be like, oh no, he's good. Put him in that shitty housing area. He's good. That it kind of deters them. The captain will be like, oh, I want him in my housing area. I want like the house I'm in now. I was like, why am I in this house? Like, why am I doing that? Why am I working here? I got 8 years on a job. There's a lot of, and then they'll be like, oh, the dep said that if something goes down, it's good to know that you're there because you're good. You'll spray them. Like, come on. So I do my job well. So it almost rewards laziness. That's another reason why I said civil service rewards laziness. I don't have a boss. My boss is the mayor, or the people of New York are really my bosses. But we all make the same amount of money.
Yeah.
Like anybody at top pay. Now, when you're not at top pay, once you're at top pay, you make the same amount of money. And they'll do 2 years probation. Once you get off probation, it's hard to get fired. It is. But that's a good thing. That's a good thing. It's because you don't want people being petty, and because then people pick favorites. Like you said, but if you work in a private company, that a lot of times this lady doesn't do her job right, but she's for some reason an executive. This is the fair way to do it. Civil service is fair. We all took a test. You got an 86. I got a 92. I'm higher on the list than you. And some of the civil service tests are highly competitive. Some of the police ones out east, out on Long Island, they make big money out there. And it's like, you got to get 106 just to get a job. And how do you get the 106? You get 5 points for military. You get 5 points for, they give extra credit for stuff you've done, which I'm okay with. You're going to go fight in the war, you're a better person than me. I'm not fighting and dying for this country. So it's people who are veterans and stuff like that, they deserve more than me anyway. But I'm also atheist, so I don't believe like in an afterlife or nothing. But look, I don't want to get into that. We'll be here till 2:00 in the morning.
That's fair. I've been wanting to talk to people about unions on the show. Like I'm talking with a couple of union presidents to come on, because people don't really generally like unions. But then at the same time, I think that like unions, from my point of view, and I'm learning. Like unions? I don't understand it. So like from what I can see, like in the 70s, unions started going down, and now people are complaining because their benefits, their pay, all these things suck. But when the unions were rising, because the unions were doing better, you don't even have to be a part of the union to benefit from the unions arguing in your place of work. Like, they will make things better, and you'll have downstream effects of that.
There's a reason why companies don't want unions.
Yes.
If they
Like,
wanted
I think they're
unions,
great.
well, you know why they don't want unions? Because they know unions are powerful.
Yeah.
Now, is there corruption in unions? Absolutely. My union president, like 2 presidents ago, is in prison because he was stealing money. Okay, it was like the stocks, couple $1 million into whatever it
Mhm.
was. Unions are why we make. I tell people, I go, they all because they hate union doesn't do nothing for us. They don't do nothing. Yeah, they do. One, we're the second highest paid correction officers in the country. Okay. 2, it's hard to get fired from this job. If you're not beating up the inmates or bringing drugs in, you're not going to get fired. Okay. 3, we work now. Let's say I go in. I go in tomorrow night. Right. It's my first day of the week. Now, for you, if I work 8 hours and I get stuck for, let's say, 4 or 5 hours, right? That 4 or 5 hours is that time and a half. If you go to work in a regular without a union, you're not getting overtime pay on hour 6 through 11 of your week. You're getting overtime pay after 45 hours. Me, it's anything I'm not scheduled working, and everyone forgets about that one too. I always say, I'm like, you're going to do overtime today, right? It's your first one of the week. It's the first week of the month, first day of the month. You're going to get time and a half. When I do an 8-hour, we call it a stick because we're stuck. They're like, you're stuck. So we call it stick. When I do an 8-hour stick, it's like $700 on like my first hour of the week. I don't have to wait till 45 hours. I get unlimited sick, unlimited. Now, if you abuse it, you go on, you get little things, but what they do is they do punish us for like we lose a lot of. I get 28 vacation days a year. Where do you get 28 vacation days a year?
Germany.
Nowhere.
Germany,
It's like a month.
I think.
I get
I think in
28
Germany
vacation days a year. I get unlimited sick. I get a high salary, and I get overtime before 40 hours. So, ease it up when you say this job sucks. Yeah, it sucks. We're in there with the criminals. They don't pay us for what we do. They pay us for what could happen. They don't pay us for what we do. They pay us for what could happen. And, thank God, like, they're always like, oh, I want to be a police. The police get this, the police get that. And I explain to them, I go, you know why the police get more than us? One, that they're 30,000 person union. You know what that is? That's 30,000 votes.
Mm-hmm.
So, of course, they're more popular than us. 2, they're not going to for them to take $10 million and put an extra $10 million into Rikers Island. Nobody sees that. 95% of the people in New York City never see Rikers Island. Okay. So all the lady knows that lives here is that my playground's not getting built. And where'd the money go? Rikers Island? She doesn't see what goes on there. That's all she knows is her playground didn't get built and went to Rikers Island. I'm not voting for this guy. Because when it boils down to it, all they want to do is, all politicians want is your vote. They want the next guy's vote. They're not there about, power. And Hillary Clinton did not go in and kill Epstein. And, it's not all this stuff. Like, they want to keep their job. That's what they want to do. They're not like, oh, we want to kill everybody with the vaccine. What good does that do? Like, they want the coronavirus to ravage everybody. Why? You going to vote for that guy after he did nothing for the coronavirus? Oh, no, you know what? They ravaged everybody. Let's vote for him again. No, they want to fix it. Both political parties, listen, they both want to. Neither one hates America. No, the liberals hate America. No, they don't. Neither one. The Republicans don't hate America either. We both want to get to a single goal. We just have different ways of getting there. It's more government, less government. And the way I look at it is I've worked with big businesses. Big businesses won't do the right thing until they're forced. Yep. They won't. They won't do it. Can't. They won't do regulations. They won't fix their stuff. They won't make everything safer. Unless you force them, it's money, 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 profit, profit, profit. And they just won't. So you have to force them. And that's why regulations are there. That's why we need regulations. And that like we have a thing called the Board of Corrections, right? They're not correction officers. They're like it's like a board, a city board. They are our oversight. People are like, yo, the Board of Corrections hates us. There's no correction officers on there. They don't know the job that we do. You're right. They don't. They are, and I explain to people, I'll be like, they are our checks and balances. This is just government. This jail isn't run right. You know why this jail isn't run right? This jail is government. We can't even get the Congress of the United States to run right. You think the local jail is just going to run like perfect? Of course not. It's government. It's not going to run right. government. Listen, it's not a perfect government, but it's the best one we got.
Yeah,
that's what I tell people. But yeah, if you need somebody for that union show, you let me know.
Yeah,
I ran for delegate. It was only my second year, and I just narrowly lost. So I would like to do that too, because I like politics. It fascinates me. It's like sports. To me, politics is like sports. It's almost like a competition. People rooting for their party. People rooting for their party, because it's become like that. It's become very divided, and people like, oh, the country's never been so divided. I was like, oh yeah, never heard of a thing called the Civil War?
Yeah.
Probably a little more divided than it was now. You know?
Are you a fan of Bill Burr?
What happened?
Are you a fan of Bill Burr?
I do like Bill Burr.
Yeah, he had a bit.
I was just watching Bill Burr the other day.
Yeah, he had a bit
he's funny.
Where people were talking about the coronavirus, and people were like, "Oh, they're gonna kill us off." It's like, why would they kill off the people that follow instructions? They're gonna inoculate them and then send a new plague that takes out everyone who didn't take it. It was really funny. Yeah, he's hilarious.
Well, my favorite is like 3,000 people died from the vaccine. I'm like, you know what? Maybe you might be right. 3,000 people maybe did die from the vaccine out of 700 million administrations of the vaccine. So you'd rather take your chances with the virus? I'm not getting it, because a lot more people died. I live in the epicenter. Elmhurst Hospital, they were packing bodies into freezer trucks because they couldn't fit them in the morgue. I go, the odds, if you're going to do the math, the simple math, and I'm terrible at math, 3,000 out of like 600 million administered doses is a lot better chance than whatever it was compared to people dying from the virus. It just is. That's just math. So you that's like the argument of the speeding. Like, okay, I get it. No one likes the speed cameras. What's your argument? Yeah, I want to speed. Just say it. That's your argument, because that's the only argument you could possibly have is I want to speed. I want to break the law. I don't plan on hitting anybody.
Yeah,
that's it. Other than that, you can't. I get it. Nobody likes it. No one likes getting a ticket in the mail for $150.
Yeah, I know we're coming to the end, and so I just want to ask you a quick rapid fire questions. Are there any books you recommend people check out? It could be about your work, could not be about your work. Anything you recommend, I will read. So it can be heinous. I'll spend the Saturday reading it.
Yeah, you know what? Anything by Jeff Pearlman. Yeah, it's a sports book. He's read How the Good Guys Won.
Okay.
I had him on my show. He's a sports author, but if you read How the Good Guys Won, it's about the '86 Mets. It's a pretty wild book, but he's a good author. I'm not a big reader. I should be, but I read mostly what I read is like Facebook and stuff. So I should read more. I don't read much fiction. I also read what's the name of the book? The NYPD Red. It's a fiction book. NYPD Red. There's a whole series of them. It's by one of those form writers.
Yeah. Is there
I can
something you
tell
want to
from
learn?
back there that you look what I got. I got nothing. I got my Mets thing and my sign because I moved it over here instead of over there usually.
That's a nice background. It's nice. It's a nice background.
Right?
But yeah, is there a topic you want to learn about? I can recommend you some books.
No, give me a good like biography.
Or
you a fiction?
No, there's literally this entire shelf. I think is biographies. I think you like. I think you'd like this series on Teddy Roosevelt.
Okay, yeah, I like history. I'm a history guy.
Yeah, it's about Teddy Roosevelt, and he's like he was the union guy, he's the trust guy.
Yeah.
He
Teddy
kicked
Roosevelt,
ass.
big union.
It's a 3-part trilogy, and it's called The Rise of Theodore Roosevelt. It's the first one. He's such an interesting guy. When he was a kid, he had asthma, and people thought he was going to die, and he became so physical. He like when he was a president, he was like a panther or something, like a mountain lion was attacking his dog, so he jumps off of his horse and stabs someone. He also went blind in one eye because he was boxing in the White House. But what he did for the parks, like he's the only reason we have parks, really.
Yes,
what he did for
the big
trust,
deal, right?
all these things. Yeah,
is he big deal?
Big deal? He might be.
He's the national parks. So
yeah. But I recommend. This. I love Teddy Roosevelt. This guy's fantastic. Okay. 3 books. I haven't checked out the audiobooks, but
so you would know that. Did he do the big deal or not? I don't think he did. Like what Louisiana Purchase and.
No, Louisiana Purchase was Thomas Jefferson.
Thomas Jefferson. No, I'm not talking about the Louisiana Purchase. It was someone that because you're right, it was Thomas Jefferson. Might be okay. So Teddy Roosevelt. I'm gonna read it.
Yeah.
Because
You mean
I'm
the
sitting
New
around a
Deal?
lot of times on the midnights.
Do you mean the New Deal?
The New Deal. That's what I meant.
That's
What did I say?
FDR.
Big deal.
That's his.
The New
That's his
Deal.
cousin. That's his cousin.
FDR.
Yeah, he's a Roosevelt too.
Yeah. No, I know.
Yeah.
Okay. So that. Yeah. What did I say? The big deal. You.
Yeah. I was like,
you
is that
call
like?
me out on that? If I'm, don't make me look
Well,
like
I didn't
an
know if it
idiot
was
here, right?
legislation. I didn't know if it was legislation, and you were like really citing it. And I was like, oh, did he do this one legislation?
Let me
And
go.
I was like, I don't know.
That CEO that was talking about the big deal.
I thought it was a real thing. I thought it was like I was trying to see
I
it.
guess I could have convinced you that it was a real thing. I could have went with it. Yes,
Yeah,
the New Deal. Okay, so that was his. Okay,
Yeah, the FDR is like less
FDR was like
interesting
the
compared to him.
the early 20th century, right?
Roosevelt is the Teddy is the early 19th century. He's from like 19 to like
1915.
1915.
The other one, FDR is early 20th century.
FDR is World War II.
Oh, okay. So like more towards the middle. Okay.
Yeah.
20s, 30s.
Yeah.
Okay.
He did some cool stuff, but yeah, like Teddy Roosevelt is like, I don't know. In my opinion, he makes FDR look like a punk, but
Well,
FDR didn't do a bad job.
FDR was important too, though.
Yeah. I mean, just when you read about Teddy, it's like he started his own party, and the only reason he lost is because people literally like they had a ballot and hit like the person they want Taft, they wanted him to vote there or the other person, and they made it like a foot long and they put Teddy's at the bottom, and he still almost won. They did like so many different
It's like
things.
those Dominion people, right?
Yeah,
like the Dominion voting machines. No, I'm just kidding.
I don't understand this reference actually.
Because the Dominion voting machines is what Trump and all them are saying. Switch the votes.
Oh, I didn't pay attention.
No, you don't pay attention to new politics.
I try not to pay attention to anything that's alive. I try to pay attention to I like anything that deals with people. So like president, I don't know, for some reason doesn't really interest me all that much. But like unions, like what affects people day to day. Like when I go to Walmart and I see people who are like upset because they're not getting paid or whatever, I like looking at that type of thing.
Walmart's the biggest welfare collector in this country.
I know, we subsidize them.
I know.
Yeah,
people don't.
I used to work there. Yeah,
people don't
I used to work there.
It's a terrible company.
Yeah,
and they're like, I don't like when people like, because first of all, we're all one step away from welfare. Second of all, you all took those checks, right? 2 years ago. What do you think that was? And then they're like, or like if someone's like, oh yeah, this lady, she paid with food stamps, but she had a phone. First of all, at this point, I think cell phones are a utility. You can't live without a cell phone. Okay, how are you going to get a job? Nobody has phones, wall phones. So you need it. That's a utility. And they're like, oh, the Obama phones. Well, you know what? You need a phone. You need internet these days. That's you gotta have it. Or when they're like, oh, she had a Gucci bag. How do you know she didn't get that for Christmas or her birthday? You don't. Yeah. So don't be judging them.
Yeah.
But anyway,
I think you'd like Teddy. I think he's a cool guy.
I will give it a shot. Absolutely.
Yeah. I'll send you an email with the links to him as well.
Yeah. Send me an email with the name of it. Absolutely.
We don't have much time to talk about locked up sports, but if you could just it'll be in the show notes.
Okay.
I think people just listening to you for the last hour and a half would want to check it out.
Yeah.
You
right?
kind of want that.
How could you not? How could you not want to listen to my show after this?
Yes.
No.
I mean,
I'm very sarcastic.
I would love to see you sit down with Larry Lawton. He's a jewel thief. He was at Rikers Island, I think. And
a lot of famous people went at Rikers Island.
Yeah. And he now makes a YouTube channel where he walks through his life in prison, how people used to abuse him and all the stuff he saw. But he has a very he needs to help people. Some of the stuff you said was very similar to what he said. I think you two sit down and have him podcast. That'd be fun.
I'm in. I'll do it. Locked Up Sports. It's basically, listen, I'm passionate. I love sports. Okay. It's all sports. It's basically like a sports talk radio show. We get big guests. We get pretty big names. We're funny. It's me and my buddy Brett does it. It's called Locked Up Sports because he works as a nurse in the jail. Like I said, we got the Mets general manager on tomorrow. We get all kinds of I can't believe the names that say, yeah, no problem. I'm like, what? It's New York focused, but like I said, I bring the same passion, even more passion to that than I even bring to this, my job and everything. And I like to talk, and we're sarcastic. We're two sarcastic people. The chemistry works real great on the show. and just check it out. It's Locked Up Sports. It's anywhere you get your podcast. It's also we also have YouTube. You could just search Locked Up Sports, and our website is lockedupsports.net. So check it out. I promise you'll like it. It'll be funny. It'll give you a couple laughs, if nothing else.
Yeah, I checked out the YouTube one. It's actually pretty good. I started by popularity and just like watched the top 5.
Yeah.
Yeah, but anyway, coming to the end. So I just want to thank you for. I'm doing like this new thing where I just say my outros versus like doing any editing in post. So I just want to.
I do everything. We do our show live and we don't even really edit it. We do it like a radio.
Yeah, I know it saves so much time. It saves so much time. So I just want to thank you for coming on the show. This was fascinating. I hope you get the promotion. I hope that no one did better than you for the next time it comes around, and you're captain the next time I speak to you. And then if you ever have anything going on, you're welcome to come back on.
Absolutely, man. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.